welcome. We are going to work today with the joint releasing sequence, or Pawanmuktasana, as it is called in Sanskrit. And this is a really powerful sequence that works very gently through the joints in the legs and in the arms. We're going to do a little bit of work into the neck and the shoulders and the spine as well. So it works really, really deeply, and it works best when you really notice how things feel. A lot of yoga is paying attention to what things feel like, to noticing how things feel. So if, as we're doing these movements, you notice that something doesn't feel comfortable, then you could make the movement smaller, or you could even imagine doing that movement. So maybe do it, you've got one side of your body that moves really easily and comfortably, do it on that side first and then imagine it on the other side, rather than being tempted to repeat it again on the same side. That's not really going to work very well for you. So that's what I would recommend. So any of these movements that just don't feel right for you today, you could leave them and imagine yourself doing them instead. So you can do these movements sitting in a chair, as I'm doing now, or you might like to sit on the floor, or you could even do them lying down if it didn't feel comfortable for you to be sitting. So you know, they're very accessible movements and really work to help free up energy that might feel a little bit stuck. You know, if you've got a stiffness in part of your body, these movements can really help. So if you're sitting in a chair like me, what I'd like you to do first of all is just maybe to just take your hands onto one side, one hand on the top, one on the bottom, and just rotate that thigh around, almost like you're just moving that sitting bone out to the side on that leg and then doing it on the other leg. And that helps you to get in a really comfortable position. Maybe give yourself a bit of a wriggle on your sitting bones. Make sure you can sit up really comfortably, rather than you know, sitting back in the chair. Sit up nice and comfortably, and maybe pick the shoulders up and let them relax. So starting on the side of the body that feels really comfortable for you, what we're going to do is we're going to point one heel away, and you can do that keeping the foot up off the floor, or you can have the heel down, either's fine, and then push the ball of the foot away. So we're going to push the heel away, and we're going to push the ball of the foot away, pushing away the heel and pushing away the ball of the foot. And just notice how that feels in your body. And if it's comfortable, you might like to work with the breath. So you might like to exhale as you push the foot away and inhale as you draw it up. And if you want to, you could of course do that the other way around. And just maybe looking at your ankle, and maybe imagine lots of lovely warm oil just moving around the ankle joint, really lubricating it. And then if it's a nice feeling, you might want to draw a great big circle with that foot, keeping it nice and comfortable. So if it doesn't feel nice to go right as big as you can with that circle, just make it a little bit smaller. But do it nice and slowly, and maybe looking at the joint again and really imagining that beautiful warm oil filling that lovely joint, keeping your foot really, really comfortable. And then going in the opposite direction, same thing, nice and slow, nice and peaceful, beautifully relaxed. And just noticing what that feels like. Maybe imagine that lovely warm oil filling the joint. And if you want, imagine a beautiful scent in that oil, your favourite scent, filling that joint. And then we're going to pop the foot down and just pause for a moment and see what that feels like on that leg. And then we're going to work into the toes a little bit. So I want to maybe rest the foot on the floor. And what I'd like you to do with your toes is just to stretch them wide. I'll do it with my hands so you can imagine the stretching your toes really wide, and then scrunching them up small and stretching them wide and scrunching them up. So maybe look at your foot as you do that, and you might notice that some of your toes are easier to stretch out than others. And what does it feel like as you stretch those toes? And can you imagine each toe gently being filled with beautiful, warm, lovely. Well done. And then again, we'll just pop that foot down and take a moment just to notice how it feels. So you might have a sense of warmth or a sense of tingling in the foot or the ankle. And maybe just be with that for a moment. And you might have noticed that as you're moving your ankle around, you're really working into your calf muscles. So these movements can be really, really good if you spend a lot of time sitting or lying down. And they just help to get that blood flowing through the lower leg a little bit and into your feet. So they can be very beneficial. And when you work with your feet, it can really help your balance, and it can help any issues you might be having with your knees and your hips. It might help, I mean, it might not. But sometimes these issues can start in the feet, so working with the feet is great. So let's do all that on the other side. So we'll start with the ankle like we did before. So we're going to push the heel of the foot away and then push the ball of the foot away. Pushing through the heel and pushing through the ball of the foot. And maybe working with that breath if you want to. Just noticing how it feels. Maybe exhaling as you draw the foot up and inhaling as you point it away, or doing it the opposite way, whatever works for you. And again, maybe looking at the foot as you move it and imagining that ankle filled with lovely warm oil, and then moving it around in a big circle. Imagining maybe that lubricating oil just moving into all those beautiful parts in your ankle joint. You might get a few clicks and clunks. As long as it feels comfortable, that's okay. And then going in the other direction, drawing a lovely big circle with that big toe, looking at your ankle, just noticing how beautiful it is. Your body loves to be appreciated. Maybe just smile at it. Tell your ankle it's gorgeous. Wonderful. And then we're going to pop that foot down. Notice how it feels. It might feel different on the sole of your foot after you've been working with the ankle. We're just waking that whole foot up. So maybe now we'll work with the toes. So we're going to pop the heel on the floor and stretch the toes wide, scrunch them up small and stretch them wide and scrunch them up. Just noticing how that feels in your body. Maybe inhaling as you stretch and exhaling as you scrunch up, or the other way around. Really peaceful. And you might like to imagine those toes filling with that beautiful warm oil. Maybe it's got your favourite scent in there. Fantastic. And then we'll pop foot down. So just noticing how that feels. There might be a sense of warmth, a sense of tingling. And maybe if it's comfortable, you could roll onto the outside edges of your feet and onto the inside edges of your feet. So just keeping that really nice for your knees and rolling around, just very gently stimulating those ankles in a different way. Brilliant. And then pause. And we're going to work with the knees now. And one of the things I recommend people do with the knees, we're going to do a movement where we're going to straighten the leg and bend it. And that takes a bit of strength in the back, but it also, you want it to be comfortable for your knee, and that might not be comfortable. And so what we're going to do is what I do in many of my yoga classes, is we're going to rock the knee and tell it it's beautiful. And this might feel a bit daft, but it can be a really, really powerful technique to appreciate your body. So just gently rubbing your knee, and you can get it nice and warm. You can rub behind the knee and in front of the knee and around the knee. And if you don't feel too daft, you can just tell your knee that it's a really, really beautiful knee. Thank you, knee, for being so wonderful. And if you don't want to do the next movement, then just keep doing that. Give your knee a bit more love. But if it's comfortable for you, we're going to straighten that leg and then bend it. And we're going to straighten the leg and bend it. And if you want to work with the breath, you breathe in if you want to, and then out. So maybe looking at your knee and imagine it filling with that beautiful warm oil. Notice how it feels. You might find that you're working quite hard there. Your thigh muscles are working here. Core muscles are working. Your back muscles are working because you're going against gravity there. So it's strengthening your leg muscles as well as working into that beautiful knee. So let's do that one more time. Wonderful. And just notice now, so again, you might have that difference between the legs. So we'll go on to the other side. So we start by rubbing the knee and telling it it's a very, very beautiful knee. Really lovely. And of course, just rubbing the knee can be a very beneficial thing to do. It's bringing some warmth there. It's bringing some circulation there. So thinking lovely, warm thoughts about your knee, and keep doing that if that is feeling lovely and you don't want to straighten the leg out. But if it feels all right to straighten the leg out, then we're going to just lift the pelvic floor muscles a little bit and straighten that leg out and bend it. And straightening the leg and bend it. And remember, you can visualize this or you can make it smaller. So just looking at that knee as you do this movement and maybe imagining it filling with beautiful warm oil, maybe your favorite scent. Lovely warmth, filling that knee joint, and maybe noticing how you're strengthening this thigh muscle, strengthening your core, working into your back. One more time. Brilliant. And I'm just rubbing both the knees, rubbing the thighs as well because they worked hard too. And we're going to work into just gently lifting the knee up. So just make sure you're nice and comfortable. You're lifting up out of the hips, the back's nice and straight. And starting with the first leg again, just very gently lifting that knee and lowering it down. And lifting the knee and lowering it down. We'll do that a couple more times. Just noticing what that feels like in your body. Fantastic. And then we'll do it on the other side. Lifting the knee and lowering it down. So we're sort of working with the hip a little bit here, aren't we? Just very gently working with those muscles in your thighs. Brilliant. One more time. That's great. Well done. Just taking a moment, notice those sensations. And we're going to draw some big circles with your knee now, working into that hip. So I'd like you to keep this really, really comfortable for you. If it helps, you can hold the knee. So we're going to work just by taking that knee out in a big circle. So nice and comfortable. If it helps, you can hold on to the chair, or if you want to, you can hold your knee. And just imagine warm oil filling that hip joint and then going in the other direction. This feels very strong for you, then make it smaller or just imagine it happening. Fantastic. And then we'll pop the foot down. And you might notice that really makes a big difference in how it feels in your hips. So we'll do it on the other leg. So we're going to draw that big circle, just going around, keeping it comfortable, and maybe imagining that lovely warm oil filling your joint, just keeping the breath nice and smooth and peaceful. Brilliant. And then going in the other direction, holding the knee if you want to, or holding the chair, really keeping yourself nice and comfy. And then we pop that foot down and just take a moment now, just to notice how that feels in your body. And you might have a sense of warmth or tingling from your toes all the way up into your hip joints. We've worked all those muscles. So we're going to work now with the hands and the arms, and it's the same situation where if it's easier on one side than the other, just work with the side that feels easiest first and then make it smaller on the other side, or you could even imagine yourself doing it. There's a lot of power in visualization. So let's take a moment then. Make sure you're sitting comfortably. I'm going to just readjust those sitting bones, take any spare flesh out from under the buttocks so you can Sit up really tall. And we're going to take one arm, and you can either hold the arm in front of you, but if that feels heavy, if your arm starts to feel heavy, you can have the hand lower. And we're going to stretch the fingers wide and then bring them in tight. And stretch the fingers wide and bring them in tight. And again, maybe just looking into your hand, look at your fingers moving, and imagine all that lovely warm oil filling the joints of your hands so that they feel really beautiful and really nourished. Lovely. And then what we're going to do is you can have the arm held up if you want, or have it lower, and you can support the arm with the other hand if you want to as well. And we're going to stop the traffic and then bring that wrist down. So stopping the traffic and bringing it down. Maybe breathing in and breathing out. Just noticing. Wrists can be funny, so keep it really comfy for you. And if your hand doesn't want to go all the way up, just take it to where it does want to go to. Maybe it's a little bit lower. That's fine. Brilliant. And then we're going to make a soft fist. And your thumb's on the inside, and you're not clenching. It's nice and soft. I'm going to hold my arm up now. And you could just draw a lovely circle with that wrist, just like we did with the ankle. So we're keeping the arm reasonably still, and that movement is just in the wrist. Fantastic. And imagine lovely warm oil just filling all those slippy slidey joints in your wrist. Beautiful warm oil. And then going in the other direction. And just imagine that lovely sense of space and peace that you're bringing into your wrist. Really beautiful. Well done. And then maybe give the wrist a rub, give the hand a rub. And pop the hand back down, and you might notice that the hands and the wrists feel different. So maybe how does that feel? What does feel different? Maybe just acknowledge that for a moment. You don't need to give it a name if you don't want to, but there might be a sense of warmth or tingling or fullness. So let's do all that on the other side. Remember, visualize if you want to. So we're going to stretch the fingers wide and curl them in tight. And stretch the fingers wide and curl them in tight. Keeping that really comfortable for you. And as you look at that hand moving, maybe imagine that beautiful warm oil filling your joints. Fantastic. Wonderful. Let's do one more like that. Great. And then we're going to hold the arm up if that's comfortable. Support it with the other hand if you want. I'm going to stop the traffic and then bring that hand back down. And stop the traffic and bring that hand back down. And maybe looking at your wrists now and imagining that beautiful warm oil filling those slippy slidey joints in your wrist, bringing a sense of spaciousness and peace and warmth into that beautiful wrist joint. Well done. And then we're going to maybe just take your thumb inside the fingers in a really lovely soft fist, and perhaps holding the arm now helps to hold it still and it helps to support the weight, and drawing a very lovely circle in one direction, just looking at that wrist as it moves. You might get a few clicks and clunks there, just like with the ankle, as long as it feels comfortable. That's fine. We're just bringing an extra bit of mobility into that joint. Nice and slow, nice and peaceful, imagining that warm scented oil maybe, and then going in the other direction. And what happens when you keep going with these movements, when you stay within your natural, comfortable range of movement, is that, at the very least, you're keeping that mobility, and in fact, you might find that your range of comfort starts to increase. That's beautiful. Well done. Good job. And then we're just going to pop the hand down. Oh, we gave it a rub, didn't we? So giving the wrist a rub, giving the hand a rub. Beautiful. And then popping those hands down. And hopefully now they both feel really beautifully alive and awake. So we're going to work with the elbows. So do again, just keep this really comfortable for you. You're going to maybe stretch the arm out and your palm faces upwards if that's comfortable. And we're going to gently bend the arm and bring the fingertips to touch the shoulder. And then move the arm out to the side, out in front of you, I mean. So we're going to gently bring the fingers towards the shoulder and then moving them out. And you might want to look at your elbow as you do this and maybe imagine that beautiful warmth filling your elbow. Maybe it's your favourite scent. And again, if that starts to feel heavy, you can support the arm with the other hand, but we're moving nice and slowly, nice and gently. Maybe you breathe in as you stretch the arm out, breathe out as you extend it. So we'll do one more like that, just looking out, looking at the elbow. And then we're going to bring the elbow out to the side. Make sure you've got room for this. And we probably won't look at the elbow now because it's all the way over there. But we're just going to straighten the arm out to the side and then bring it back in. And we'll do a few like this, breathing in as you straighten and breathing out as you stretch. And you might notice that as well as moving your elbow joint, you're really working into the muscles now. You work into the deltoids, which are these ones you're just touching here, and the biceps, which bring your arm in, and the triceps, which straighten your arm out. So you're really working to strengthen your arms. So if you get tired, do stop. And you're also working into these muscles at the side here. So if you have a tendency to slouch, you might find that you really notice this more on one side than the other. We'll just do that one more time. Lovely. And then we're going to draw a circle with the elbow. So we're going to bring the elbow up in front of you and out to the side. And you make this movement as big or as small as you want. You might want it to be nice and small, or you might want it to be nice and big. What works for you today? And it's really important that you notice how things feel day to day. Don't think, well, I did it like this yesterday, it must be okay today. Just acknowledge your body as it is in the moment and work with that. And you could maybe think of beautiful warm oil filling that lovely shoulder joint, easing and releasing and relaxing your shoulder. Wonderful. And then we'll relax the arm down, just move around if you need to. Noticing how that feels. And then of course we come to the other arm, so same thing, if you want to visualize it, do. So taking that arm out in front of you, and remember you can support the arm if you want to. And we're going to bring the fingertips to the shoulder cap and then gently stretch the arm out. Maybe looking towards the elbow if that's a comfortable thing for you to do. And imagining beautiful warm oil filling your elbow. If you want to work with the breath, you could breathe out as the arm comes in. Breathe in as the arm stretches outwards. And you might notice that one side feels different. Maybe it's easier to hold the arm up. Maybe the elbow feels different. And just acknowledging that. You know, when I first started yoga, I used to feel a bit frustrated that my body wasn't perfectly symmetrical. But most of us aren't symmetrical actually, and it's lovely to be able to notice how things feel and really pay attention instead of just taking it for granted. So just be aware, imagining that lovely warm oil filling your elbow with ease and with peace. And then if it's comfortable for you, taking the arm out to the side, and then we straighten the arm out, maybe as you breathe in, breathing out, the arm comes back. So just being aware of how that feels, imagining warmth, filling that elbow joint, or lovely oil, lovely warm oil, filling that joint, just lubricating it. And maybe noticing now all those muscles you're using, the deltoids, which are these ones here, top of the shoulders, your biceps, which draw the arm inwards, and the triceps, which straighten it out. Lovely. And again, you might be aware of some sort of stretch along that side there. So we're going to bring those fingers in. We're going to draw a lovely circle. So it can be a small circle or it can be a big circle. What feels really beautiful for your shoulder today? And as you just draw that arm around, noticing how it feels. Breathing in maybe as the arm comes up. Breathing out as it comes down. Just imagining perhaps beautiful, warm, scented oil filling that shoulder joint, with ease. Fantastic. Let's just do one more. Beautiful mobile shoulder. And then we're going to relax the shoulders down and just notice how they feel. Fantastic. Let's just do a lovely release for the trapezius muscle. Sometimes when we get tense, we pick these shoulders up. So let's pick them up and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and let go quickly as you breathe out. And pick them up and squeeze and squeeze and squeeze and let go slowly as you breathe out. And then do whichever one felt best for you, whichever one made your neck feel the longest and the most comfortable. Lovely, just lifting up tall. So we're going to work a little bit with the back, and then we're going to work with the neck. And I'd like you to keep yourself extra comfortable as we do these movements. So we're going to start with a side stretch. So we've worked through, as you know, the joints in your legs and the joints in your arms. We're going to work through the spine and the neck now, and then you'll have done all the joints in your body. So just lifting up nice and tall, and if you have been sitting back, do sit forward now. So you're able to just stick your bottom out a little bit behind you, and that will help you to have a lovely mobile lower back. It gives you a bit of space in your lower back to move. And we're going to start with a side stretch. And what I'd like you to do is take it gently the first time, and then whatever felt right for you, go with that again if it feels comfortable. Obviously, if you're in a chair like this, you need to make sure you're not going to fall out of your chair. So maybe push down into that foot. Maybe take the hand onto the chair as well, just to keep yourself really comfy. So we're going to just pick that shoulder up. So let's all work the same way. So we're going to pick up that left shoulder. And if it's comfortable for you, pick up the left elbow. And if it's comfortable for you, reach up with that left hand and grow really tall. Now, if you have something like osteoporosis, anything going on with the discs and you know it's to do with leaning sideways, then just stay here. Keep yourself nice and comfy. But otherwise, if you want to, you could lean a little bit. And I'd like you to reach up through your fingers and push down into that hip joint so that you're really stretching through the side of the body. And then bring yourself upright, and we'll bring that arm back down. Work the shoulder around. So we'll do all of that on the other side. So visualize if you want to. So maybe check. You're going to push down with that left foot, and maybe push into the chair with your left hand, making sure you're not going to fall off your chair. And we're going to reach up with the right shoulder. And it might be that that's where you want to stay. Or you could reach up with the right elbow, or you could reach up with the right fingers. And if you have osteoporosis, or if you have something going on with the discs, that means it's not nice for you to lean to the side, then stay there and just reach up really tall. And we'll all do that. We're going to reach up through those fingertips, and then if you want to, then if it's comfortable for you, just relaxing a little bit towards that side, and just breathe there for a moment, and then come up and relax that down. Well done. And we're going to do that once more on each side. So if you want to go back to the way that felt best for you, we'll do that. So you might be lifting the shoulder, and maybe just take a moment then to notice that stretch, or you might be lifting the elbow, might be reaching all the way up, going really, really tall. So maybe push through both feet, push through this foot, reach through those fingers, and notice how it feels right down the side of that body. And if you want to, then, you know, it's okay for you, you could lean a little bit to the side. And be aware that you're not leaning down towards that leg, you're lifting. And then we're going to bring the arm down. Fantastic. Relax the shoulders around, and we'll go the other way. So taking that left hand onto the chair maybe, and we're going to reach up with your right shoulder. If it's comfortable with the right elbow, if it's comfortable with the right fingers, reaching up really tall. Osteoporosis, things with the discs, maybe stay here. If it's comfortable, just relax a bit to the side, pause and breathe, and having that awareness that we're not leaning towards the body, but opening up towards the ceiling a little bit, and then coming up and relaxing around. Fantastic. So we're going to work with a twist now. Now, because we're sitting, you want to be very gentle with this twist. You don't need to go to your maximum range of movement here because your lower back is really resting against the chair, or your pelvis is resting into the chair, so your pelvis is held still. So just keep it extra comfortable. So we're going to lift up tall, and let's maybe take your left hand onto your right knee and just turn a little bit towards your right and pause and breathe. And if it feels comfortable, you can twist a little bit more. And you're not using that left hand to pull yourself around, you're just breathing and noticing how it feels. And then we'll come back to the center, lifting up really tall. Maybe take that right hand onto the left knee, grow tall out of the hips, and then twist around towards your left. So I'm just going to double check I've got those sides right, because I'm mirroring you. Your right hand goes onto your left knee, you lift up tall, and you're twisting around towards your left. Pause and breathe, and if it feels comfortable, you can twist a little bit further. And then we come back to the front. Beautiful. So we're going to do it once more on each side, keeping it comfortable, lifting up. Maybe the left hand goes on the right knee, and that could be, you know, that's a very gentle twist there. That might be where you wanted to stay. If it's comfortable, you lift up tall, just twist a little to look towards your right. Pause and breathe. Notice how it feels, and you've got that beautiful. What happens in a twist is that the muscles are very gently pulling on the bones, and it helps the bones to grow a little bit stronger. We come back to the front, lifting up. Maybe your right hand goes on your left knee, and you just twist around a little bit to your left. And as well as the bones becoming stronger, you're just very gently easing the muscles that run up through the length of your spine, and you're starting to work into your digestion and your breathing as well, and then coming back. So it's really beautiful. And we're going to work with the back. Now I'm going to do a movement called sitting cat. So we're going to take the hands onto the knees, and what we're going to do is we're going to just tilt the pelvis so that your bottom reaches out towards the back of the chair, and your tummy button comes a bit forward, and your chest comes a little bit forward, and your shoulders are down and squeezed together. And then we're going to push into the feet and bring yourself to a more upright position. So we're going to do that a few times. We're going to tilt the pelvis so that your tummy comes towards the thighs a bit. Your tailbone reaches to the back of the chair, and you lengthen through the front of the body. And then we're going to push into the feet and come upright. So with the breath, we're going to breathe in as we tilt the pelvis, as we lengthen forward, and breathe out as we push upright. We're going to breathe in as we tilt and lengthen forward, and we're going to breathe out as we push upright. Now, if you have osteoporosis, or if you've got issues with your discs at the moment, I'd like you to keep going like this. You push forward, and then you come upright. But if it's a comfortable thing for you to do, what you could do is you could start to just round the back a little bit as you take yourself back. So you tilt the pelvis, you come forward, you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, you either come to an upright position or you round the back a little bit. Now, this rounding the back isn't great if you have osteoporosis, so that's why I'm suggesting you don't do that. So we breathe in, we lengthen forward, and we breathe out, and we round the back. And whichever way you're working there, you're really mobilizing the spine. You're working into your discs, whether you go upright or whether you go further back. And you're just very gently going one way and going the other. So you're really helping the joints in your back. You're really helping your digestive system, because that's right here, it's getting squished. And then you start squishing it. And you're really helping with your nervous system. You've got fluid that flows around your spinal cord. And as you move like this, you're just gently squishing it around a bit, so it's very beneficial. So we're going to do one more. And of course, like any of these movements, You stop whenever you feel you need to. So just pausing there now for a moment and breathing. So we've done all the joints in the legs, all the joints in the hands, and we've worked into the back. We've moved the back the way it likes to move, side to side and twisted and forward and back. So the final thing we're going to do, if it's comfortable for you, is to work with the neck. Now I would say to you that I want you to keep these neck movements really comfortable, and if you feel any sense of discomfort or dizziness, you just stop and breathe normally and just relax the movements and imagine doing them instead. Our necks can get quite stiff. When I first started yoga, I had terrible posture. My head used to be forward all the time, so my neck used to make all sorts of noises as I started trying to stretch it. So just be kind to yourself and trust that over time things will change. Okay, and imagine these movements if you want to. So the first movement we're going to do is we're going to bring the chin forward. So you stick your chin out like a tortoise. And then just lengthen up. Imagine reaching up through the backs of the ears up towards the ceiling behind you. So reaching forward and coming back. We'll do that one more time. And then just pause and breathe. If you're like me, if you have that head forward posture, this is a really good one to work with, just to remind your body there's a different way to hold your head. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to keep the shoulders still. So the shoulders are going to stay pretty much above the hips. But we're going to let the head relax forward just as much as you want to. It doesn't need to be big. And just pause there for a moment and allow the weight of your head to stretch the neck as you breathe. And if you feel uncomfortable or dizzy, remember, just raise the head up. Otherwise, what we're going to do now is imagine you're holding a pencil or a golf ball underneath your chin. And keeping the face looking forward, we're going to roll the head up. So you get a lovely double chin as you do that. So we're going to do it with the breath. We're going to breathe out as the chin comes down. And we're going to breathe in as the head rolls up. And we're just going to do it one more time, breathing out as the head comes down. Breathing in as it rolls up. Fantastic. And just pause there and breathe. So what you might notice is that when you work with your neck, you feel changes not just in your neck, but right the way down. So I can feel that my lower back's tingling a little bit because I've released some tension I was holding in my neck, and that's gone right down into my lower back, and it's made it feel lovely and warm. So what we're going to do now is let the ear relax towards the shoulder. I wouldn't expect it to reach. So we're not trying to force the ear to the shoulder. So we're going to keep the shoulders really still. It's going to let the right ear relax down a little bit as the left ear lifts up. And then the head comes up. We go the other way. So we're going to flow with the breath with this one. We're going to breathe in as the head lifts. We're going to breathe out, relaxing to the side. Breathe in as the head lifts. And breathe out and relax to the side. And just be nice and gentle. These muscles can get quite tight. So just allow them to ease in a very gentle way. And then the head comes up well down and we pause. And we breathe. And we're going to twist the neck last of all. So again, keep yourself really comfy. There's no prize for unscrewing your head. So keep it nice and comfy. So we're going to lift up through the back of the crown of the head. And breathe in. And as you breathe out, just very gently let your head look towards the right. And then you breathe into the centre. And then you breathe out and you very gently let your head look towards the left. And you breathe into the centre. And it's a very simple movement, this, just like the movements we were doing with the joints earlier. It's easy to be distracted. You might feel it's so simple it's not worth paying attention to. But what I'd like you to imagine, if you can, is that there's a wave of movement starting at the base of the neck, and as you breathe out and you turn the head, that movement goes all the way up to the crown of the head. That wave of movement from the base of the neck to the crown as you look forward, from the base of the neck to the crown as you look to the left. And we're going to do that once more on each side. Such a beautiful movement. Breathing out as you turn, Breathe into the center. Breathing out as you turn. And breathing into the center. And just pause. And notice how it feels. So if you've been to my yoga classes, you'll know that's one of my favourite movements to do with the neck. And it's really, really powerful. When you work with the neck like that, you start to work into the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is the one that helps you to feel relaxed or to feel tense. It's involved with the flight and fight and freeze response. So when you move your neck nice and comfortably, nice and gentle, when you work with the breath as we've been doing, and you allow the breath to be peaceful as we've been doing, everything starts to slow down a bit and your body just starts to relax. And that sends a signal up to your brain, and your brain starts to relax, and that sends a signal back to your body, and it's a very circular sort of process. And the upshot is that everything starts to relax and you feel calmer. And that actually improves your digestion. So if you have digestive issues, funnily enough, just working with your neck really comfortably like we just did can really, really help. So if you think about what we've done, we've worked right through the body now. We've worked from the tips of the toes all the way up through all the joints in the legs, through all the joints in the back, up into the shoulders, through all the joints down to the fingers, and we've worked up into the neck. So just pausing there, maybe have your eyes closed just for a moment or two if it's comfortable, or just gazing softly ahead. And maybe just for a couple of breaths, you might like to notice the breathing. Notice as you breathe in. Notice as you breathe out. And you might even like to affirm to yourself, I breathe in peace. Breathing out, I let go. I breathe in peace. Breathing out, I let go. And if, like me, you've been sitting upright in your chair, you might like to just sit further back and maybe lean against the back of your chair. And close your eyes and just carry on for a few moments. I breathe in peace. Breathing out, I let go. And then maybe just gently rubbing the hands and like have a yawn and lift up through the body. Maybe relax forward, leaning on the legs for a moment. And then just notice how it feels. And if you've enjoyed this practice, you might like to do it again. It's something that you could do every day or once a week, or you could even do it several times a day if you found it comfortable. It's a nice gentle practice, and it can be very restorative. It can really start to work into the body in a very nurturing way, really calming. So maybe just notice how you feel as you go about your day, and let me know how it went if you want to contact me. So thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you again